Woodland was on my dig deeper list for today to try and see what I was going to do with him, because he's another guy. Didn't talk about him at all. Showed something at least. Like
he showed something as in he played golf.
Correct.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. Farmers, insurance, open, DraftKings picks, the lineups, the ownership, digging into all that. Additionally, we'll have the weather, one and done picks, and the final betting card for the week. Again, this starts on Wednesday, so don't forget to put your lineups in if you have reserved a spot in any contest. The Listeners League is almost full. There's 100 spots remaining. By the time that we're recording this, by the time it's out, there might be like 50 spots left. So if you want your spot, go to the description and go join right now. Sub to the newsletter while you're down there as well, because all of the information plus early access to the Listeners League is always in there. Plus, it's completely free. And it has giant write-ups and final bets and all the information that you need. So go do that and share it around if you would. Thank you. Smash like, sub to the channel while you're here. And Tambo from ShipItNation.com is in studio. And you got some winners for us.
Yeah, I got some winners. We had the contest going. Obviously, still got just under 24 hours to get in, but the contest portion will end. But if you do want to get introductory PJ-only DFS pricing, the $199 for the season drops to $179. The $34 a month drops to $30 and change, so basically $1 a day. Use the promo code MAYO over at ShipItNation.com. But the winners announced, and we'll reach out too, but Paul Label, no longer liable for his monthly payment. He will be going up to a season pass. So you can reach out to us, info@shipitnation.com. We'll follow up there. And then the winner of the season pass refund based on the contest is Christopher Maglilo. You can reach out to us as well, info@shipitnation.com. So two good winners. A lot of people signed up. We appreciate all the support. It's been awesome. Another huge week. It was the probably worst run out I've ever had
I watched
PGA
it.
sport.
I haven't talked to you about it.
Any sport, and it was definitely in PGA.
I watched it in real time. I saw Lee won the Mini-Max. That's awesome.
Yeah, solid. The course fit rankings over at Ship It Nation have been really good. He brought those over, formerly of Fanshare. He's got a formula he's worked out there. It's winning. I mean, that's what got me into King of the Desert, was those rankings. The 1 week that I got just played the top guys. It worked. That was my lineup. That was doing well in other places. I just didn't use it in King of the Desert this week. So that was a bad run out. 74, 72, and 72 from 3 of my 4 guys. If they all just hit 69 and get their all for under 70, I'm in. And then the other one was nuts.
Well, 2 of the, okay. So I was tracking what you were doing in the 250.
Yeah.
Because I thought that I was going to make a run at it. And then my guys just shit down their legs on Saturday afternoon coming home. And I was like, oh man, here we go again. I go to the top and I'm like, hey, Tambo's like in the mix here. And then I checked in halfway through to see if I was still cashing. And I was like, oh, and you were up by like 60 points or something like that. And then Siwoo and Burns got to number 17.
What was it like? I think Siwoo went quad, bogey, double, and then Burns went double, double. And people, I hate this, by the way, just so people out there know, appreciate your support, but the people sending you congrats texts when there's like 3 holes left, it's not over still.
No,
like it's never over till it's over. The worst part of it was, though, the final consolation was like at least a Fantasy Golf World Championship seat in the $31 one. I was still up in that, and it was like basically if Burns just makes a par on the last. Like, okay, you got the water out of the way on 17? Absolutely not. Double bogey again or whatever it was. Just insane run out. But who cares? Saturday, great day in the NFL. So
I saw you won like 68K. So
yeah, it was a solid weekend overall. So and we still won money on Sunday. Still a huge week. Just could have been a lot better.
Yeah, but listen, you only get so many chances to win that kind of money. I remember Cust was telling me that one time when I remember my Morikawa bet went down in flames live on the show, but I had hit a huge Bears to have the first overall pick from preseason wager, which ended up netting me like $3,000, and I was going to win like another $2,000 on Morikawa. And he's like, well, you won. I was like, you can't let the ones that you have slip through your fingers because you don't know when you're going to be back there. You need to like press it and get as much as you can because you're going to lose and you're going to go through streaks of losing.
If I had more control over it, I would care more.
Yeah.
Like, again, I do care. It's like I can get over it pretty quickly because it's been there a bunch of times, but it's like the part of it that sucks is, like you said, you don't have very many times when you can capitalize that much. Like, it could have been $20,000 more. It could have been, $30,000 more with the $20 and then 2 Fantasy Golf World Championship seats and into the final round of King of the Desert for the big giveaway for everybody. But thank you to everybody that reached out. I do appreciate the support. Still a great weekend. Still happy to be here with you doing what I do. It's always fun, and get right back to it this week.
The update at fantasynational.com went through. It affected I think it's 5% of people didn't have their models loading or anything like that. That should be rectified as of today. If you're having any problems, reach out to at @fantasynational on Twitter. Moose is on it. He's been working for over 24 hours straight to get this all cleaned up. I was like, why'd you do this on a Monday? Why didn't you do it on a Friday? That's besides the point. But it should be cleared up for almost everyone now. If you're still having problems, please do reach out. We really apologize for that. We wanted to make the site better. And it is better. It just doesn't. There's a few people that it's not working for at the moment. It's working for me, so that's what I care about right now.
Sneaky benefit, eh?
Sneaky benefit. Although I clicked on the ownership projections, and people have generated over 5,000 lineups already, so it's working for people. It's just not working for everyone. So please, at Fantasy National on Twitter, reach out that way. Let's talk about the weather going in, because it doesn't seem like there's much wind affecting anything Wednesday through Saturday, but apparently it dumped rain in San Diego yesterday. So does that change your perspective on anything? Because I think I could play this one of two ways. One, it would be easier to attack some of these smaller greens, especially at the South course. Memorial and Torrey Pines South are the longest courses on the tour with the smallest greens. Just to keep that in mind, we've seen a lot of, Rahm has had a ton of success at both those courses. He has success at a lot of courses, though. Yeah. But I remember there was one year, it was the Farmers, it was Ryan Palmer, Rahm, and Finau battling down the stretch. And then those three guys also battled down the stretch in the very hardest year at the Memorial when Rahm had that fluffed up lie. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Coming out of COVID, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just, that would be, if there's any comp course to look at, that would be the one, I think. And it usually has pretty strong fields at the same time, too. And what you see at that course a lot of the time is if you look at the top 10, it's 7 guys who are in the top 20 of driving distance, and then 3 guys who are short hitters who hit a bunch of fairways and made a ton of putts. The Denny McCarthy's of the world.
Yeah, and I think that gets talked about a lot this week, right? As people comparing off the tee, on approach, all that. What I've had the most success with this one is just looking at pure tee to green. Put it all together. Who can actually do it all? Because we've seen it both ways. Literally, the playoff was a couple of years ago. Luke List and Will Zalatoris. These guys are top tier tee to green players, ball striking wizards, and usually can't putt. But because of these greens, especially on the South course, being extremely tricky, I was doing the first look show yesterday with James, Degenerate 75, where he was like, this is the one, don't forget. You look at it and you're like, oh, my guy only has a 3-footer. Move on to the next thing, you go back and you're like, wait, what happened to that 3-footer? Oh, he shot it 4 feet past and made bogey or double. It's like, what? 3-putted? How did that happen? Well, that's what happens at these courses. So I'm with you on that. The rain, if anything, to me is the bigger talking piece because, I don't see any crazy wind. Temperatures seem kind of low. It's coastal, but whatever for California. The bigger thing, though, is the rain coming in for, Showdown. Obviously, you're playing the North course anyway.
Yeah, it's just straight up. If there's one thing you need to know about Showdown this week, just play guys at the North course.
Yeah, should be able to go super low there. It's already a pretty easy course. Now you can just fire at the pins and do it that way. But then the flip side of it is South course. If it is softened up a little bit, that would be the time to take advantage. Not in Showdown, but just in general. If you want guys that go out there, North could play pretty easy still on Friday or Thursday this week, Wednesday, Thursday for the split. There is a cut, right? So I would look at it from that perspective as well.
So I have two minds on this. I agree with you that if you're playing well, you can go fire at pins on the South course if it's a little bit soggy. Now, obviously, they have great drainage. Yes. Drainage. That it may not be that much of a problem, but softer conditions in general. However, if it is wet, you get less rollout, and it's the longest course on the PGA Tour in regular rotation. So maybe there's more of an emphasis on driving distance, at least in Showdown purposes, for the first 2 days or the first day or whatever you're trying to do. That, and if you miss the fairway, and at the South course, you only hit 51% of fairways on average, that if it's super wet out, that rough might get bad. And it's not even trampled down yet from all of the spectators like you see in the final round, that it might even play longer than it's already playing because it's wet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It can go both ways. I think there's definitely merit to building some lineups and sets this week, stacking them up. I always go with this mentality too. I talk about it, the mentality of the golfer. If, a lot of people think, if I just get my guy out on the North course to go 5 under on day 1, he'll just coast to it on day 2. How? Why? Go out on the South course, that can just eat you alive. You make one mistake, it gets in your head. Now you're sweating a cut line. You're unsure if you're going to make it through. Why not get the guy that goes out on the South course, grinds out a decent round or whatever, breaks even, then he's feeling pretty good going in, knowing that it can't get much worse than that, and now gets to take on the North the next day. You don't know who it's going to be or what they're going to do, but if you build some lineups and sets and build them like that, you could definitely see that play out. I love stuff like that in these types of course setups.
I think for me, I would stack North if I was playing like the weekly, not just Showdown.
Yeah.
I would stack guys at the North starting on day 1 versus day 2, only because it would be wetter. You have a chance to go very low at the North course and build up those birdies where things might be mitigated by the time the second round comes, and it's harder.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Like I said, I would be looking to build both ways at this one for sure.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about the bets for the week, because obviously this starts on Wednesday again, so I'm not going to have time to do that like live. I might do that again next week too. The lunchtime chat on Wednesdays. People really seem to enjoy it.
Lunchtime chat with Pat.
Lunchtime chat with Pat. I had viewers call in live to the show. There was only one who was like, maybe they've seen me like yell at people in the chat enough. They don't want to be yelled at live on air, but you know, I'm not going to be doing that to people if they call in. You know, there's a bit of grace given that way.
You were brave enough to call me? Okay, I'll go a little bit easy on you.
Yeah, that's the way we're going to go through it. So I actually felt very good about my betting card this week, which is never a good sign.
Okay.
But some names popped out to me right away. I didn't want to really attack the very top of the board because, I don't know, there's 4 guys 11-1 or below.
Kawa, your boy.
But yeah, I'm not doing it at 11-1. I like him this week.
Yeah.
He's cuss one and done, but I went with Aubert at 19. Like, there feels like no course in history that's better set up for his skill set than this course.
I agree. It is interesting though that he's like the guy that everybody wants and is popping. Like everyone that I've heard has mentioned. I know it's 2 days turnaround, so we'll see how it actually shakes out or bears out with ownership. But everyone's like, "This is his spot." It's like there's all kinds of guys that it's actually their spot and have come out here and done well here. So that's why. But I don't mind the bet. Like you said, take it. If he's going to do it, he can win it.
Oh, for sure. But like you just think like what does he do better than everyone else? I would say he's probably the best driver of the ball in the world right now in terms of length and accuracy.
Yeah.
It's like him and Rory. And I mean, Rory's never won here, so
should be a perfect setup for him.
It should be.
People, Kenny brought up some points last night that I thought were interesting. Like how often does he play this type of setup, this course, these greens, like all these things? Well, his game off the tee and just in general sets up for it. Like you said, it still would be interesting. And I'm more thinking DFS, but I don't hate the bet 19-1.
So that's where I wanted to go. Plus, he wasn't 11-1 or 9-1 like Xander, that kind of thing. And it is his first time at the course. I actually bet a few first timers because we've seen a first timer win. We rarely see people who have not finished inside the top 10 previously end up doing all that well. This is a very sticky course history event, a lot like the Sony Open was. So Aubert at 19, Min Woo at 30. Again, just another guy who mashes it off the tee. That's where I've had the most success at this tournament. Just take the guys who
I took him with you. I got him at 28 though, but that's what I got.
Keegan, who's also my one and done, is 35-1. I took him. He has 3 top 5s in his past 6 starts at this course. Playing some good golf to start the year too. You just hope he doesn't put himself out of the tournament. Thigala at 45. Made a nice little run here 2 years ago, and he's still driving the ball with incredible distance. Great short game, too, and good long irons. He kind of sets up really well, plays well in California. I took Ryan Fox, another bomber, at 70 with 5 places. Sam Ryder, 110 with 5 places as well. He had his first start last week at the Amex after having a really good swing season. Even if you go back and look at the past 24 rounds overall, he goes a little bit back into last summer. He's first in approach of any player in this field over that same period. And he's had success. As long as you don't interview his parents while he's winning by 4 coming down the stretch, you might have a chance here. Yeah. Just cash that top 5, Sam, and we'll be good to go. So that's the winning 6-pack. I also threw a few lotto tickets on Sam Stevens at 200-1 with 5 places, and Taiga Semikawa at 300-1. I also bet him below Asian at 14.5-1. Minwoo is not in that market, by the way, because he's not from
Semikawa, man, popping in the Ship It Nation projections this week.
He should. Like when I went and looked at it, like if you can try to blend, like I want driving distance. I overemphasize driving distance, but hitting fairways is still critical as well. He's actually the longest driver with the best accuracy at the moment.
Yeah, fair price too this week when we're playing him there. I like those bets. It was Model Maniac, Byron, good dude on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it.
He is coming on the show 2 weeks from now.
Oh, awesome. Great dude. Just funny, hilarious with the stuff he does. But he had the same little 2-pack there that you had, the Keegs and Thiegs. You get them both in your mix for your betting card, and you're good to roll for the week. I kind of like that one, calling him that.
I also bet Thirsty Lawrence on the DP World Tour.
Of course you did.
Of course I did. 24-1. We got Rory.
Which is crazy because he actually wins.
Yeah, I know. Rory's gone. Fleetwood's gone. So now it's like the regular jabronis on the DP World Tour, like Thirsty Lawrence. He's like the 5th favorite or something like that. So I went with him. So one and done for the show purposes. Keegan, Day, for Jeff, Morikawa for Cust. That's how we're doing it, and Jeff is still currently winning after 2 events.
Who did we take last week? We forgot to talk about it on the show.
We most definitely forgot to talk about it, so we didn't take anyone.
So we got nobody.
We got no one.
Damn.
Yeah, happens.
Yeah, we'll make it back.
All
We
right,
were
well-
not going to have Nick Dunlap. We were not, Seabez,
Yeah,
who actually gets the money, but we weren't going to have anything like that.
Yeah, well, we're not even really splitting a team this year, too. We're just kind of talking about it,
Right.
going through our own pick. So where do you think that you would want to go? Because I ended up on Sam Burns as my one and done last week.
Nice.
Just because it didn't seem like anyone was going to take him. And that's sort of the strategy that I try to play earlier on in the season, that who is someone within the top 10 of odds that no one really wants to use? And then just kind of gamble. I actually had a big hit here with Patrick Reed one year. I didn't bet him, but I used him as a one and done because it's like, all right, he's 5th in odds and literally 0 people are taking him besides me. So just roll with it. So that's kind of what I want to do again this week. Do you have any thoughts on that? Like, do you want to burn a Cantlay or a Morikawa or Homa or Schauffele at a non-elevated event?
That's the hard part of it. I think I was actually thinking maybe somebody like a Sungjae or someone down the board like a Minwoo and take a shot. I like Minwoo. I bet him, like I said, too. He's the guy that I preferred in that spot. My dad took Xander last week and did sort of what you said. The guy up top that nobody wanted, 3%, ends up getting second place money with him or whatever, split up. So I was thinking of that approach here as well. Maybe Cantlay. I know it's not elevated, but at the same time, just a guy that I think is going to bounce back. We're going to talk about it when we get to DFS as well. But yeah, if I'm not betting those guys, I don't mind taking them a one and done. And I don't know if anyone goes there.
Cantlay's interesting, and he is the one when we get to ownership projections falling through the cracks a little bit. And I think a lot of it has to do with, like, I even put in my article that if you're going to win here, you generally have a top 10 in your career at some point. 13 of the past 15 have done it. He doesn't have one. Although I talked about the Memorial crossover. He's been great at Memorial over the course of his career. So maybe that is a very interesting one. Would I want to waste him here? Maybe.
You're probably saving him for the Memorial, if not.
Yeah,
Thinking about it that way, yeah.
I mean, there's tournaments like usually when he gets hot, so you can just kind of jump on at some point.
I might actually back out of it based on that thought process that you just said. Like, I'd rather him coming in hot or have something going for himself here versus I can just use him at Memorial. There is no more John Rahm. So it's like, you think about him, he's going to be a pretty good pick there, and you could just play somebody else around him. But I don't know if I want to go like, I don't know, Xander maybe?
Thigala?
Yeah, I like that one too, actually.
Maybe it's Thigala.
Yeah, I like Thigala. If you and I were picking together right now, I would agree with you on that one and say let's take him.
Well, the one I was almost going to get to betting, and we'll talk about him, I think, pretty extensively in DFS. Would this be a time just to like try to get Zalatoris, knowing that he plays well at this course? He looks like after last week, he ended up making the cut. He's looking better each and every week. That maybe this is the week for him.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to use him. Like everyone's waiting to see, but now I've seen. I think that I've seen enough that he looks close to back to where he was, that maybe this is the time to do it when me and like 9 other people take him.
That argument bears out to me, like, sure, but the reason I probably wouldn't is because I don't know that we actually saw enough. Like last week, what was it? Like we had 2 rounds of stats on a course?
Sure, but just being able to, playing back-to-back weeks, improving from one week to the next, and again, I mean, I didn't like him at Sony. I didn't like him last week because I just don't think it's a great tournament for him.
It's definitely a better setup.
This
for
is a
him.
better setup for
Second
him
and
based
seventh.
on his skill sets.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's a good argument, but I like the Thigala call.
All right, so yeah, so I have 2 teams, so Thigala and Zalatoris. If you had to go to the top, who do you think you would take?
I now that I just thought it through, it would probably be one of Xander, Kawa, or Homa. I would just skip the bottom tier below them.
Someone did tell me that you got to go with Xander this week and bet Xander this week because he's from the area and he really wants to win.
Oh yeah, just like everybody else.
Yeah, just like every other time that he's played at this tournament, I think that he hasn't won.
It's the FedEx Cup thing. Well, he's right on the bubble. He really wants to make it into the playoffs. He probably did all season. He wasn't good enough to get there. That's why he's on the bubble. Like that's those ones never go through, but everyone just talks it up. So yeah, I got you.
I have seen some Hideki love in the betting market.
I've got some DFS love. $8,500 is crazy, but it's whatever. It's like maybe not that crazy to other people. I just thought pretty disrespectful. But the betting market, what was he, like
45
40
or 50
or something? I was like, I'm not in love with that.
It's tough to parse with him because his driving has been spotty.
Yeah, it can be.
And that used to be like his thing. Like he was such a good driver of the ball. He probably just wins Phoenix next week. Remember when that used to be his tournament?
Yeah, that is true.
Everyone will be like, oh, you got to use Scotty, and you probably do need to use Scotty because that's like the one tournament he putts at every single year.
I can't wait for it. I'm excited for that event.
Well, you're gonna be there.
Yeah, that's why. That's part of it too. But I actually do. I love that event. It's always a fun one. I like this one. I like Waste Management. I like Genesis. And then after that, it's like I wish everything else would just not be during NFL. Even though I love the sport, love playing, doing all this stuff, those are the events I like out of this setup.
Pebble might be good this year with a good field.
Possibly, but I didn't read into it enough, with now that they switched it to a signature event of how much Bill Murray and guys were going to have to deal with again and all that shit. And like, what's the other guy's name? Like
Larry the Cable Guy?
Yes, you got it. I was like, oh my God, get this off my screen. But at least we should get a nice little setup there. And I think Dunlap will go pro. Before I posted this out yesterday, I hate the Pro Am. It's the Am Pro. He's going to go to it because take advantage of those signature events.
Did you play a lot of Dunlap last week?
No.
DraftKings. Let's jump in to what is happening. We'll build the lineups. You can do it along with us. If you're listening to the audio version, we have it up on the screen for you as we go through. But let's talk about the ownership to kick things off and what you're seeing this week. Morikawa seems like he's pretty popular. Homa. Everyone, it's funny because everyone near the top, like what I'm seeing, Morikawa, Homa, Bradley, Thigala, Xander.
This week is going to be extremely spread out. Whatever they did with the pricing, however you want to look at it from this perspective, to me, it's great because it makes everybody have to make decisions, almost like a major in the sense of how it was. In the majors, it's always they make it soft because they want to fill up these milli makers. This week, it's just really like, how do you pick? Xander, Cantlay, Kawa, Homa, and then the next range is like you said, everyone has love for Ludwig, and then there's Im and Day and Finau and like a bunch of guys you can make cases for. So I'm seeing it very balanced. The guys I'm seeing lower owned are Cantlay,
English,
Jason Day, Harris English,
Eric Cole.
Cole's actually getting a little love.
He's getting
but
love.
Keegan will steal some away,
and so will
Thigala and Minwoo.
Yeah, Cole will project out ownership-wise pretty well, but I think that when the prevailing narrative that this is a bomber's track, you go look at his history here, he's never made a cut, either at the U.S. Open or at this tournament last year. I mean, he just makes every putt, so that's helpful going forward. But I just think getting squeezed between, like sitting directly between Minwoo and Keegan, both who project to be pretty popular, is just going, like if it was to you and you had to make a lineup and just not thinking about ownership or leverage or anything like that, you were just asked to make a pick, which most people do for these things, and you had $9,100 left. You're going to take Eric Cole over Minwoo or Keegan at this course? No.
This week I'd rank him Cole, Minwoo, Bradley. And mainly on ownership, and that's the reverse of the ownership.
But that's mainly on ownership. If ownership wasn't a factor here, you just need to pick one guy to win. Who would you pick?
Minwoo, the guy that I bet.
Yeah, the guy that you bet.
And
I think that most people will fall into that category.
I agree. Yeah, Cole will definitely go overlooked, and also a couple. You talked about Ludwig, but Nikolai and Marank. Those two guys in the next range, they're not getting any love, but they actually rate out extremely well because they both won on the DP World Tour recently. Like Marank was in the mix to win last week with Rory and Hao Hung Lee and guys that were up the board there. So I mean, there's opportunity within. That's what I said. The pricing from $8,000 and up, and I think you had it in your newsletter too. I was trying to get this one right. Maybe you remembered off the top of your head. You wrote it up of like it was like 4 of the last 5 years. The pricing's been right on of like the top. I think it was like 4 of the top 6 guys in the winning lineups and optimal lineups were coming from 8,300 and above. So it was like the pricing was dead on for what the finish result was.
I like those Euro guys this week.
Yeah.
Just because they're both great drivers. Marank's a great driver. Højgaard's a great driver. Berger I was giving some looking into anyway, but I might just use Zalatoris in that spot.
They're probably actually going to come in similar, and maybe more people hop on Zal, I think, now because people do think he's back.
And the course history.
And the
factor.
history, but he is still going to come in probably lower owned, like what, 10 to 12%?
That's where I would have.
So that's where I would put him in there at. And again, I don't care about that stuff. Like, if he was just 8%, I would take him. No, doesn't matter.
Other than that, like popular guys in the $7,000 range that I'm seeing, List appears to be one of the most popular. I get it. I like Luke List this week.
Montgomery again, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be I don't see him like popping.
No.
I see Pendrith popping more than him in terms of ownership. However, I didn't bet Montgomery this week after betting him last week, and I know that's going to be a mistake. I like Montgomery.
Jaeger? People like him because he's under 8K again. He always makes the cut, right? It's just what does he do from there? And then, because I think now he's going on 34 of his last 35 or something for Jaeger, making cuts, and now we're at a cut event where very important, so there's that.
So it's List, Pendrith, Montgomery, Michael Kim, Sam Ryder, maybe Eckroat, maybe Sam Stevens. I doubt Sam Stevens will actually get up there, but I do like him. I'm playing Sam Stevens.
It's also a short week, so I will say this, whatever your ownership sites show, like people will still click Svensson and Shank and Small. They don't care about what happened last week, and these guys always pop on the projection site, so they will still get love. Like Jake Knapp popped on one of the projection sites last week and ended up being 28% in the King of the
And
Desert.
Baroff was touting him too. So
Yeah, Baroff's all over him, and then people jump onto that. Got to give our boy Baroff credit. If you're taking his stuff, give him the credit for it because he's always all over that stuff. And guy talked to me about start of the season about Nick Dunlap. Like people claim Nick Dunlap and stuff. A guy that actually has mentioned him. David Ford was on Sargent before the Masters, and I know he didn't come through at the Masters. It was Sam Bennett, but like guy that actually knows his stuff and follows it heavily. You got to give him the credit where credit's due. So
No, we're not giving Baroff any credit.
have to. People out there just leeching off everybody else, taking all their shit.
You know what he did? His lineups took a nap last week.
Yeah, they did. That's fine, but he stands by his conviction. When he
I
wins,
like
he
it.
will win.
Bramlett and Vegas are both popping as well in terms of not popping, like they're more so than all the other 6K guys because they have a ton of people are just going to sort by driving distance and pick people.
They're not
like Cam
0.5%
Cam
on.
Chant is going to get ownership. Will Gordon was someone I think I bet here last year, so I probably just should play because I've been doing that. I take my article from last year and parse it over and like redo it for this year. And it's funny to see some of the picks that I have, and a lot of the time the picks that I made the year previously, I don't bet again, and they end up winning.
Yeah, what about Bobby Mack, 6,800, pure bet on talent?
I like it.
And if, usually these types of courses better for him than a birdie fest or something like that. So
I would tend to agree, and we've seen a lot of guys play well at both Riv and Augusta from here, and courses where he should play well at. So I'd like to see him heat up a little bit. That'd be nice.
Neesmith, too. Don't mind him. I liked him. Again, it just depends. Him and Bramlett remind me of similar. Like, I just want, not necessarily the game they play, but the idea of what you're doing. You're getting a cheaper guy. You're hoping that it is just fairways and greens all week and that they get a little bit lucky with the putter and can come through. Bramlett probably better there, but just saying Neesmith would be another guy down low. Semikawa, who you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I like I mean, I have no real faith in Semikawa. Like, I don't want to put him on like a single entry lineup.
No, but I guess it reverts back to my previous conversation I was having with you of if you end up needing 4 guys from above that range, you do have to get comfortable with somebody down here, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. You got to get going because I think a lot of people, even though the start of yesterday when I first did when I did the first look with James, it's like you can easily play X and can't lay, and you can because they're 10-6 or less. We don't even have an 11K guy here, and you could pick your spots down low, but also you could end up playing like a lot of people are looking at lineups and seeing like one of those guys, a 9K guy, and a couple 8K guys. And then you just land in the 7s, and that's where you see, if you see more builds like that, you'd be unique to get 2 6K guys into your lineup.
I really wanted Eric Barnes to qualify for this tournament, although he did not qualify for this
Isn't he like next man up?
He's the next man up.
Okay.
But I wanted to play him if he got in, but he's not currently. I'm trying to see, is there anyone from down here? Molinari? Yeah.
Ben Griffin, by the way. Don't let that one slip through the cracks. We did the whole shebang up here last week. Get your lineup on the screen. Who won the 2-man last week?
You did. You just edged me out too, which was crazy because you had a 6 of 6.
Not so crazy at the three thing event though. That 5 of 6 came second in the big flagship $20 the year before. So 5 of 6s get the job done at the Amex.
Which I find really strange because maybe it's the scoring conditions on Sunday that they're more difficult than they are the rest of the week. But you would think that even though you have a lapse of a round, it's not 2 rounds, so there's places you can make it up, and it does give you a little bit more wiggle room at the top if you have a bunch of really high finishers. But I would just think that at a birdie fest, you just pile up so many points in one round that having that 6 of 6 is a huge advantage. Like I cashed in the 250 with a 5 of 6.
So what it is, it's the pin placements changed. No more amateurs.
Yeah.
That's one part of it, which is the obvious, but it's actually your bonuses that you lose out on. You'll see less of the streaks. And also don't forget everybody in the whole tournament that gets to day 4 is in line for all 4 under 70. It's almost impossible for them to not be ready for that. That's what I said earlier. Cost me in the King of the Desert. It was 74 for Cantlay, 72 for Jagger, 72 for Cole. Those are all, you get crushed when you don't have those bonuses go through. That's 15 points if they just go all 4 under 70, and that's why it is that those 5 of 6s can contend.
So Bramlett has 2 top 20s here in the past 3 years, hasn't missed the cut in any of his 4 appearances. That's why he's getting some love down here. Lonto is kind of the same, though. Lonto's not really been good Lonto in a while, but he's made the cut here 3 straight years, made the cut last week, the American Express. It seems like he's rounding a little bit back into form after coming off of injury. That, if you're going to play Bramlett solely on the reason that he has good course history, I mean, Lonto has basically the same course history, is the same price, and no one is using him.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Like I think these are some of the guys you're taking shots with. I saw some people mention Tyler Duncan. I've heard some Chan Kim love, Norman, Panda.
Norman makes more sense to me.
Norman would make sense here, I
because
think.
all things being equal, I'm not going to be any different than most of the people this week that if everything's going to be equal with course history or how much I like a guy, don't like a guy, it's going to come down to driving distance and prodigious driving. Vince Norman has that. The other guys that you just mentioned don't.
And you know what? We just talked about Baroff. He mentioned Norman, and he mentioned your guy, Paul Barjon. What about him?
He must have watched the research show because he just kind of stuck. He's 1,000 to 1 to win this week.
6,100 on DraftKings too, so
That's not bad.
maybe you pick him later.
You can get Pierce and Cootie down there as well.
I was waiting for that one. I didn't know if you're going to bring him up this week or not.
He's been bad.
This guy, Jacob Bridgman, played pretty well last week.
Okay, did not know that.
So that was one that popped a little bit. And then Course Fit Rankings, the guy last week was Bronson Burgoon.
Oh, the Goonies.
Hard click. But this week, this week's Bronson Burgoon is Kevin Get the Dough, or T. Get that money with Kevin Doe, 6,100 as well down there.
Where's Dumont?
He is 65, I want to say.
Yeah,
64.
I just wanted to check out his. I want to see his driving distance stats. Yeah, we'll get into Adrien Dumont de Charret, Artie, as they call him, as I found out. He has like one really good round. I still like him for the rest of the year. Just need to get his feet underneath him. Let's build a lineup then.
All right.
How about we do that? So with the way that you're seeing everything shake out, we just kind of talked through the ownership. Where do you think that everything's going to concentrate at the top? Because it does seem like it's going to be pretty spread out. If you had to think about what the most common build is going to be, what would you think?
I wonder if it's like Jaeger and someone else down there, and then see what you could fit beyond that.
So
Because
I would say list over Jaeger at the same price, just because he seems
I was going to say both.
Okay, both could work.
Just like where people are going. I don't know. It just looks like that on early ownership. Because I don't see a lot of ownership below 7,500. Really, like it spreads out quite a bit.
Yeah, Montgomery, Pendrith, Ryder seem to be the ones.
Like, what do you see Ryder at though?
Like 8%.
Yeah, I think Montgomery could be.
So let's throw Montgomery.
Montgomery's 74. Let's use him to make some stuff work.
So listed Montgomery, we now have 8,700 left. And it doesn't seem, as we kind of talk through, it doesn't appear like people are attacking this bottom, basically high sevens, low eights.
And people could get to Schenk, like I said, at 73, but if they don't, I do think Jaeger still gets in there because he is showing a couple different places high ownership. He projects well, and I told you, like his cut thing, all right? I think it's 34 of the last 35. He's less than 8K. Definitely looks possible. So that leaves us 9K.
So list Montgomery, Jaeger, now we have 9K left to play around with. So that probably means Thigala goes in.
Yep, I think you're right.
And then, but then now we don't have like a Xander or like this probably finishes off.
If you went Xander, what would it be? 7,700. So I don't know if you know anybody there, like Svensson.
So you can go Thigala, Minwoo, Bradley, Keegan Bradley. I actually like that a lot. So you can do that part of it. Morikawa, I would bet Morikawa ends up the highest owned.
So it's like Kawa and Zalatoris.
Which actually I really like. I actually like this lineup now.
So maybe this would be the one to start on that I think people would be interested in because there's course history in here. There's really everything you could imagine in this one. So I'll leave that one for now. Yeah.
So it goes Morikawa in the 10s, no 9s, 2 8s with Thigala and Zalatoris. Then you have 8-7, 8-7 with Jaeger and List, then Taylor Montgomery at $7,400.
Yeah, and I think
that's too balanced for most people.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out though. Like, where else are they going here? Like,
Well, that means that to that conversation, that means that someone from this low sevens range is going to end up being much higher owned than we think, or high sixes.
I think it's Schenk at 7,300.
You think it's Shank? It's not Ryder. It's Shank.
One of those two, sure. But I think it's Schenk over Ryder because I know the projection sites will have him more.
Okay, so let's throw in Shank at 73 then, and let's throw in Xander.
Yeah, and then you still have money to go to Minwoo over Thigala. You got money to go to Moronk over Jaeger. You've got money to go to 7,800.
What if we go Xander Ludwig as a start with Adam Shank? Then we have $7,400 left. Because I think a lot of people will want to play two of these big five guys.
Yeah. Do you think List over Jaeger? I think Jaeger over List. But if you took out one of those and take Thigala up, what does that look like?
Thigala up?
Yeah, I'll take a Jaeger with you as well. So let's go
Okay, so
to
we have Shank and List with Xander and Ludwig right now. So we have $7,300 left for two spots.
If you add Montgomery back in, it leaves you 72.
And 72 gives us Sam Ryder. So you have Sam Ryder,
There you go.
Sam Ryder, Montgomery, Shank. Pendrith is also in that range. And Pendrith was popping a little bit more from what I saw, but Montgomery or Pendrith, one of the two that you could throw in there exactly the same price and mix and match those two guys. But I think you're going to see variations of this lineup would be my guess.
So you think 10-9-4-7s?
Yeah.
Is more common. Okay.
And that would kind of jibe with what we're seeing in the lower eights, like from Thigala down to list, basically. I don't want to say it's a dead zone. Guys will have ownership, obviously, but you're not going to see Shane Lowry at 17%.
No, definitely not. That's the spots where, like I say, you almost know that's the one thing, even though it's very balanced overall, this ownership, there is dead zones that you just like know for a fact there's going to be nobody really on these guys.
And it's funny because the dead zone this week, like if we say it's between from 79 to 86, let's say that's a dead zone in a lot of ways. I mean, you can throw Hideki in there if you want to, although I don't see a ton of ownership on Hideki. That there's real guys in there.
Oh yeah,
That
definitely.
if you want to get leverage, there's your leverage. Don't worry about anything else.
What if you had a Nikolai, Maronk, Minwoo,
See, these are
Ludwig lineup?
See, that's what I was thinking. What if we just start with Ludwig, and he's our most expensive guy?
It actually lands us in the same spot we were just at.
I don't really mind doing that.
Who did we just have? I just want to have this version for a second to compare. Who were the two cheap guys we had at 72? It was Ryder, you said?
Yeah.
And then Weed went with Montgomery or Pendrith. So this projected the best one so far, and it was start with Ludwig, 998877, and you take all the DP World Tour type guys that people are going to overlook, like probably not Minwoo they overlook, but like Maronk, Nikolai, and then Ryder and Montgomery, the same fit of what we just had, and it projects better.
So I went with, so you can see the one that I just threw up. It's Ludwig with Minwoo. And then in the upper sevens, lower eights, I got Højgaard and Lowry with Ryan Fox at 75 and Taylor Montgomery at 74.
I hate Ryan Fox. Not like just as I don't know why. I never get this guy right. I don't like him.
Dude wins.
There was
man.
that period where I know it's not like I'm saying he's a bad golfer. I can never for DFS. It's just a tough click for me. But
Not a tough click for me.
I know you love him. And then Montgomery we went with here.
Yeah.
Let's see how this one projects. Even better.
Even better?
Yep, that's our best one yet.
So you can get a little bit better with this by doing this. You take Taylor Montgomery down to Sam Stevens, and you turn Højgaard into Keegan. You don't have enough money for Keegan. Damn it. Then you can turn Fox into Montgomery.
Oh, you go Fox to Montgomery.
Fox to Montgomery, and
Let's
it
see
works.
this one. Montgomery. I was building some lineups last night, just with the early start to try and get an idea, and it felt like building lineups 5 years ago because it was like Keegan, Day, Rose, Hideki. It's like you used to put all these ball strikers in, and you could like not all in the same necessarily, but just to say like you'd have guys like that. Where I remember back in the day, you'd have Adam Scott, Hideki, Justin Rose, Jason Day. Like all these guys are top players in the world, and they were always fitting those balanced builds that you could make. It was similar here, but this one projects much worse than the one you just had. I don't know why that is. I think it's part of Fox does project a little bit well, and already
Stevens probably projects poorly.
Yeah, no, he was in the other one. Nikolai projects pretty good actually this week. Like I said, that's why it's funny that him, Maronk, Minwoo project really well, but no, like they're kind of going overlooked because everybody knows the other guys around them. So we'll see what happens when people actually build their lineups with optimizers and stuff. But for right now, those guys were popping up a little bit.
What if we shake it down this way? Get Højgaard back in there with Minwoo, Ludwig, and Keegan. Now you have 4 guys above $8,400.
So Ryder,
And then you start taking, Semikawa's
Nikolai.
$100 too much. You'd have to go Semikawa and Stevens or someone at $7,100. You could do Eckroat. I don't mind Eckroat. Stallings, Mr. Course History, won this event before.
God, what a failure he was last week after that hot start. Guy tears up the
73.
stadium.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, that was he was. So I did hedge this a little because I knew it would hurt me. He was leveraging King of the Desert. He was 22-1 to miss the cut going into round 3 and miss the cut. It was just nuts. And then Nick Taylor did the same down the stretch. He was up there as well.
Oh, Nick Taylor, John. I mean, what I'm probably
Bhatia, crush people, Shank crush people.
here's the guy who crushed me, who I'm going to end. I can probably end my lineup this way, and I can get back up to Ryder. I actually like this one because I like Vegas. I liked Vegas last week. He missed like a 4-foot putt on the last hole on Saturday to miss the cut.
Yeah.
Played pretty well. He's generally always played well at Torrey Pines. He's $6,700. We've now seen him be back. He's been back for 2 weeks. He's been cut both times, but cut on the number both times. Actually, not in Hawaii. He was not cut on the number in Hawaii. He had one bad round.
That's the thing about these guys, though. Like, this is, go back to his game log for a second, if you will. I know it's game log watching just to show it.
Well, he hadn't played since...
People, shit on this guy, but a 68 and a 66 with a 70. It was a 13 undercut last week. There's nothing he did wrong, and at the price that you pay for that, if he shoots that here, you're probably fine with a made cut, and you just take what you get over the weekend. You do still need upside. I'm not going against other previous thoughts I've had, but just to say it, that's the part of it.
But I do think that he does have upside, mainly because he is still one of the few players in the field who just progressively, year over year, has such an elevated eagle rate. You can make a ton of eagles at the North Course.
He just came 25th here last year.
Yeah.
He definitely has upside for that price. He's 6,700. So, yeah, I'm fine with it. I don't mind that at all.
So that would make it Ludwig with Minwoo, Keegan, and Højgaard with Sam Ryder and Johnny Vegas. And you can play different variations of this. If you don't like Højgaard, you can turn him into Moronk super easily. You can change him back down to Lowry. Are we overlooking Lowry at all? Because he is another one and done wise that I think you can kind of get away with.
Yes.
It's a longer, harder course. That's kind of the Shane Lowry jam. You don't want him at the Birdie Fest.
Yeah, and last week was fine with him too, I think, right? He missed it
He
on
missed
the
it.
number, or no, maybe not. It was 66, 67 or something he shot.
Yeah, he had a bad stretch Saturday somewhere. And
I think it was a 70, and that's a bad round. It just is. It's just the way it goes there at that course. But
you can play Zal. You can put Zal in, and then you can get back up to down Sam Stevens if you wanted to.
yeah, I think are you leaving too much win equity above you? Like Homa, Kawa, Cantlay, X. That's X is going to be popular here.
Sure. But if we talk about win equity, he's never won here. I would be more prone to, kind of as you said, off the hop, I would rather use Cantlay than Xander this week. If it's going to be Xander at 23% and Cantlay at 12%, just give me Cantlay. He's
We'll
cheap.
see what it's going to be. I think it's going to be Xander way more popular, yes, but we know what it is. Cantlay is the leverage play. You're saying it right. I'm just saying, I think that doesn't always work like it did last week. Last week, Cantlay was more owned, and people went to Xander. Now you flip back the other way. That works.
Sure.
Saves you $100.
If it was me, I'm not going to play either of them. I don't care about these two.
And then I guess that's what I'm lumping in, though, the five guys, like Kawa, Homa, Im. If you're starting with Ludwig, it's not that he needs to win, because one of those guys below him, they got in your lineup. Bradley can win this event. Somebody else Minwoo can win the event. You've got guys in there that can win it still and take it away. I bet Minwoo, that would be the way that works. I'm just saying, for people building right now and just looking at some other options here, I think people are going to want that win equity above him.
So here are those DraftKings notes. I didn't have the ones from last year because I didn't go back and look at it. In 2022, 7 players scored over 100 DraftKings points. 5 of them were $7,600 or cheaper. In 2021, 8 players scored more than 90 points. 6 of them were priced over $8,000. Mm-hmm. Each of the top 5 DK scores in 2020, $8,300 or above. 2019, 3 of the top 5 in DK in pricing finished top 6 in DraftKings points. Yep. And then 4 of the top 5 in 2018 were priced $7,800 or more. So it's not necessarily that's the one thing that we've seen here. The elite doesn't always come through here. It's that mid-tier, basically your 20 to 50 range in the betting market. They're the ones that really kind of come through.
It's hard to tell. 7,800 and 8,300 or above. I don't know what prices were the ones that actually came through, but the way I read it and the way it sounds is, and what I've seen from some of the original stuff I looked at here, it is way more to the other side. You had that 1 year where it was the guys below 76, but after that it was the other. And the reason I bring it up is because if you have I'm just going off your picks for 2 seconds here, just a couple examples. Thigala. So Ludwig, Minwoo, Keegan, Thigala only leaves you 6,800, but you have now 4 guys, 8,700 or above, that are all live. If you just get your 2 guys at 6,800 to make the cut, you're probably in good shape if those other 4 really climb the board and they just do a top 40, because this isn't a birdie fest or something going out where you're going to see all this other crazy stuff happen. The made cut is going to be pretty important here. So
let's try that lineup. I like that.
Who was the other guy you like besides Semikawa?
Semikawa and Vegas fit into that perfectly.
Yeah, Semikawa, Vegas, Semikawa, and Bramlett.
I don't like Bramlett, for the record.
I don't mind him.
He's not my guy. Not your guy.
Not my buddy, not my guy.
Keegan, Thigala. Boom. $100 left over.
Which is what just leave it. That to me looks really good.
I like that. Maybe my single entry this week. Let's do it that way. I'm just sorting by the model that I built out. I rebuilt it. One of my models didn't come over from Torrey Pines, so I just rebuilt one. I actually like this one better. Not that my Torrey Pines model was great anyway, so it probably did need to be rebuilt a little bit. Do you know who number 1 is, though? And just I'm not playing him.
Who is it?
It's Eric Cole.
Oh, wow. I'm going to play him this week for sure. Just 'cause I think he can still carry it over. I don't really care about the other side of it, but
like if I actually just listen to the numbers that what I wanted to see spit out to me, like the top 5 guys in my power rankings right now, I am currently not playing. Cole, Cantlay, Morikawa, Xander, Pendrith. Those are the top 5.
do you like anybody? You like Ryan Fox at 7,500, right?
I do.
How would you like this lineup? You start with Min Woo, and you get Min Woo, Keegan, Thigala, Ryan Fox, Luke List, and then your choice of Shane Lowry or Will Zalatoris.
I mean, I love that lineup.
So you think that's what I mean, like that's a balanced lineup, but it projects really good actually. So these could happen this week.
So it was Minwoo, Keegan, Thigala, List. Who were the other 2?
And then I put your guy Ryan Fox in there.
Okay.
And then it left you with a choice of Lowry or Zalatoris, which I kind of like. It's good both ways, but I like the less 7K guys, more 8. So if you went Minwoo, Keegan, Thigala, Zal, that to me is 4 guys. They're all over 7,800, which was the last year that the over happened in. And then you still get another guy at 7,800 in your boy Luke List.
Who has won at this course.
Yeah, and then you land on Ryan Fox. Like that to me is pretty solid. And if you like Lowry better than Zal or you like a couple other spots there, by all means, go ahead. But I just thought that was an interesting setup for this build.
You could also turn that into Lowry Svensson instead of Zalatoris Fox if you wanted to.
Lowry Svensson instead of Zalatoris Fox. Let's look at that one. Do you like Svensson this week?
The numbers like Svensson this week. So
Wow, that's our best projected one we've made so far. If you swap it to that.
Really?
Yeah. It likes Svensson this week. Like I said, projection sites always likes the ASs. They always like Adam Schenk, Alex Smalley, and Adam Svensson.
So Lowry, yeah, you could play. I mean, we haven't mentioned Patrick Rogers.
Yeah. Does he have some Cali connection?
I've heard that he does,
Yes,
despite
he does.
not from California.
Right.
He's from Indiana, although everyone just says he's from California. But he does play. He went to Stanford. He putts well on POA. But again, he kind of fits that mold of. I mean, there's a case for Minwoo here that he might come dead last in this tournament because the guy can't hit an iron shot to save his life. He drives it great. He chips great. He putts great. Can't hit an iron. He's like good Taylor Montgomery.
Yeah, I will say that's why I told you earlier, like in my rankings, I still, as much as I bet him, it's more of one of those things you wake up on Monday morning, everyone got the 30, you go look, it's still at 28. I like it, and it's an upside shot. It's what you're doing with Ludwig. There's a chance that he could absolutely suck, even though he fits the course on a mold. It's like, what if it's because he hasn't seen it much? These greens get him. Anything can happen. You just have no idea. It's golf. But it's the setup of taking the shot on the number, right? You weren't playing an 11-1 Kawa. You'd rather play a 19-1 Ludwig. It's the same thing with Minwoo, but there's a chance these guys could just not come through, and it could be a guy like Eric Cole who's just playing amazing golf right now.
So
finds his way around.
To build this lineup again with Minwoo, Keegan, Thigala, and List instead of Zalatoris and Fox the first time, or Lowry and whoever, you could go Rogers and Jagger if you wanted to. That's also the same amount of money.
I got one guy over. Thigala, Bradley, Minwoo.
List, Jagger, Rogers.
Oh, it's Jagger, Rogers. So you don't have to pick anymore. You just play them both.
You just play them both.
Ooh, that worked for our guy that played Nick Taylor the other week there.
Yeah, not Nick Taylor last week.
Did not work last
Stupid
week.
Nick
That guy got his money and got out. The smart guy.
I had 3 guys who just blew it in the last 2 holes on Saturday. I would have had an awesome week. And instead of, I think I had played 35 lineups, and I ended up with 5 6 of 6. And the other way, I would have had 25 6 of 6. It was Vegas missed it, Taylor missed it, and there was one other jabber, Bhatia.
Bhatia and Schenk were what killed everybody. But I mean, like I said, we started the show with the story. You're telling it to the guy who got crushed with 2 holes left.
Yeah.
Everyone died on Saturday. That's fine. I'm used to that. It's when you have 2 holes remaining and it happens that it actually hurts. So, yeah, I think this lineup is right behind that other one as far as projection because I think it was only 3 off. But again, 9, 8, 8, 7, 7, 7. Like you're seeing some of these balanced builds. You can see why people would want to gravitate towards this.
Now, do you think that ends up becoming the prevailing type of lineup only because it gets uncomfortable when you start trying to jam in two guys below 73.
Because this exercise showed that we could just swap it like 5 different ways and styles, whether it was with a Xander in it or starting with a Ludwig or a Ludwig Minwoo, a Minwoo only. We did a bunch of versions of it, but the common theme to me was we always ended at around 7,400. I know we got some riders in there and stuff like that, but my point being, it's like that 74 to 10K range kind of feels, and then we know Xander up top. So there's lots of other things that you can do, but if you can get comfortable, let me ask you this, Pat. If you switch it up now, if you had to pick 2 guys, Sungjae and above,
Morikawa and Homa.
Okay, so Morikawa and Homa, we now have 7,400 left. We'd already said, forget about the 6Ks for a second. Let's just do it. Montgomery and Ryder, we've definitely already talked about.
Montgomery, Ryder, what do we got left?
7,550. So it's your guy Fox and Svensson.
You can go Fox and Svensson. You can go Pendrith and Patrick Rogers if you wanted to.
Yeah, like, so again, or your boy, yeah, like List that we talked about for sure. Rogers we talked about. Schenk with List is an example.
Or
but I guess that's my point, is this one has 3 guys 7,400 and below. You do still get a $7,800 guy, but you get 2 10K guys. This build looks right now like, even though you have more ownership on a Homakawa type setup up top, you would probably still have a little bit more leverage than those balanced builds that people are landing on similar types within the 5 different styles we built there.
Well, you could play you could play this lineup with Montgomery and Ryder and play like Vegas and Højgaard if you wanted to as well. I think that's the different version. Like,
yeah.
I think that people will land on the version that we just talked about with the $7,000 guys somewhere, be it List and Shank.
So what'd you say if we go Vegas? Let's just look at this for a second. I want to see how this goes on paper. So Vegas with those 2. And then you said Ryder.
Yeah, so Montgomery and Ryder is the cheap guys.
Nikolai.
And then you can put in one of your 6K guys. We'll use Vegas as an example, and then we'll take Nikolai Højgaard at 8,400 to round it out. But you could use Højgaard, Zalatoris, Moronk, Rose.
Yeah, 10, 10.
I mean, we didn't even bring up Rose. Like, Rose won this tournament before.
Yeah, like I said, I mentioned those guys for shortly there, but just quickly, sorry. But those guys I'm all in on. Like, not all in on. I'm saying I'm in on all of those guys of like the real dudes too. Like Day, Rose, Hideki, any of those guys you want to throw in.
I like Day, Rose, Hideki in that order. Like, regardless of ownership, price, whatever it is, just objectively in that order, I like those guys. I think Day will end up being more popular than you think.
He could be, but the interesting part is he's 95, and you've got Ludwig, all the dudes above him, and Minwoo Bradley below him. So I just think it's going to be that 12 to 15 range.
I can see it. I could also see people passing on Ludwig because no one really wants to play Finau right now.
I'm playing Finau too. He's another one that fits in that group.
Yeah.
I'm building with you on here. We always talk about this. We'll get to the snake draft eventually, but I'm not as nearly as high on the Ludwig, the Minwoo, the Keegan. I'm playing.
You mean the guys that everyone's playing?
Yeah, that's part of it, but it's also just, again, everything that I look at and go backwards from. Like, I still am fine. I think there's just real dudes around there. Like, what did Finau do last week? I don't know if you have his stuff up. Let me just have a quick look here. He was 9th here last year, I think. He shot 68, 67, 67, 67. Like, he did what he could with that course. Milton Poa Finau. Real name. Don't forget it.
Really?
That's, middle name Poa.
There we go.
Last name
Trying to
Finau,
bring
middle
we
name
built
Poa.
so many lineups already. Gotta open up some new tabs here.
Yeah, what do you want to do?
Well, let's try to build one of those lineups then. Like one that has Day in it.
Day.
Because what I can see happening is that there's going to be the want to play like Xander, Homa, or Cantlay, Morikawa. But when people start getting to the bottom end of this pricing, they're like, yeah, I don't know about this so much. So instead of Morikawa, Homa, Ludwig, it ends up becoming Xander, Day. Just because Day is the course horse. He's won here twice, plays well here every year, regardless of whether he's wearing skin-tight pants or hammer pants. It doesn't matter with Jason Day. He's going to play well at Torrey Pines. And I don't necessarily disagree.
Right.
He's Feinberg's one and done here. Like, I get it. Now you have basically 7,500 for your final few spots, so then you can start jamming in.
Well, see, it's another one just lands in the exact same range. You called it. That's exactly what it is. That range, it's going to be your Shanks, Svenssons, the guys you talk about, but then your Riders and your Montgomerys and your Pendriths and your Jaggers and your Lists. And your
This all steam for Sam Stevens is what's going to happen.
Sam Stevens.
Sam Stevens.
Yeah.
Because he's $7,000. He's slightly cheaper than those other guys. And then you can play List and Yeager. You can go like Shank, Stevens, List, Yeager with Day and Xander.
So you can get leverage in the 7K range with if you can take shots on guys like
Fox?
Stallings, Eckroat, Fox. If you want to take further shots, you can. But I'm just giving examples there. If it does, maybe Rye, for once, you get him lower. Ryu, who's been playing really good golf there, is a guy you could go to. But I just don't see Bhatia off the letdown last week.
But Bhatia is a good one, actually. I actually, how much is Bhatia? 75?
75.
Yeah, I'm going to throw him into the player pool because this is actually a great course for him. Like, if people, because he might putt really well here, he might putt really poorly here. But there are good putters who putt really poorly. You talked about the green complexes. What does Bhatia do? He fucking nails it off the tee. And he's lights out with his irons, and he can chip. He's got the
new putter, baby,
weirdo
too.
putter.
So don't forget about that. I know you hurt people's feelings on Saturday about one stroke.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want him to do? It happens.
And he battled to get back into it. Like, he wasn't close for a while. Then, like, he had a bad opening round and battled back throughout the course of the
Akshay
week.
Battle Tia. You can keep adding these to the last names.
There is one name that we have not touched on. He came 11th place here last year, and he's been dog shit for like 8 months now.
Enlighten me.
It's Taylor Moore.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Another like grip it and rip it, big bomber type guy. Like Taylor Moore is that guy. And it seems like literally no one is playing him.
I didn't even know he was in the field.
So
People are
and
playing
he's
Taylor
7,300
Montgomery
bucks.
more than him, yeah. Taylor Montgomery pivot just dropped
So
down.
now you don't need to use Taylor Moore. You can use Shank. And you can get back up to Luke List if you wanted to. You go Xander, Day, List, Shank, Bhatia, Taylor Moore.
Xander, Day, List, Shank, Moore. Shank, Moore. I think, man, Taylor Moore, wow. And then who's the $7,500 guy?
It was Bhatia.
Akshay. Like, yeah, this would definitely be a way to...
Like, that's slightly different. It's slightly just turning it a little bit.
You're landing in the same zone as everybody, but you're on the different plays. Like, if Moore and Bhatia are more than enough to separate you from anybody who's playing Shank because they need a value play, or
Montgomery
anybody
or Ryder
who ends up on Day, and obviously people are definitely on Xander. So, yeah, that would be a different way to do it.
And to talk about some of his finishes, like he had a nice run starting at this tournament last year. Like last year, he started his season at the American Express. He missed the cut, was 11th here, 15th at Pebble Beach, 14th in Phoenix. Like this is when it started. He won at the Valspar a little bit later on. He's obviously not playing that good at golf right now as he was then, but this is when it kickstarted for him last year too. And we see that with guys year over year.
Yep.
Like at different points of the season. Like who is it that like once like May happens, like all of a sudden they're guy space on it every year. It's like there's a few guys though. It's like, oh, once it gets really hot in the middle of the summer, that's when you play them.
And we know swing season guys is a thing. Like there's always guys at certain times of the year that they get the job done. So yeah, that was definitely something I didn't think of. Taylor Moore, I was thinking like Taylor Montgomery, thinking of other guys in that range, but he's there as well.
So that's one to do. Do you want to do the head-to-head? We can do the head-to-head recap. I didn't really look at it.
We don't need to do the recap. We just know who won.
Yeah, we know that you won.
There you go. So 1-1.
Who was it who blew it for me last week? So if I just had the extra guy make the cut, I would have won, but I can't remember who it was now. I can look it up. I can effort this on my phone. But you won, so you get first pick in the head-to-head draft this time around. Recent. Let's go to head-to-head. Let's see. Yeah, you beat me 618 to 610.
618 to 610. 8 points.
Bhatia was the one who blew it for me with the missed putt.
Yeah, that's just brutal. The
I had, so to recap, I had Kirk, who, if Kirk just doesn't try to fucking chip it from the rocks, I probably win. Kirk, Wyndham Clark, Hadwin, Montgomery, and Van Royen with Bhatia was my lineup. So I went full balance. You went Cantlay, Sungjae, Hostler, Ben Griffin, Neesmith, Pavon. The only guy who was good on your team was Ben Griffin, but you had all 6 guys go through.
Yeah, that really pissed me off too. Ben Griffin and Sungjae was a pivot off of Cantlay and Stallings, which I would have got into King of the Desert with as well. So could have went there, didn't.
In fairness with Ben Griffin, like they would just periodically show him during the final round, and it was either 70-foot putts going in or chips going in with him.
Yeah,
it was
it was
like,
nuts.
whoa.
I was seeing that too. Let's do this. Let me take Thigala to start.
Oh, you jerk.
I want flexibility.
Well, if that's the case, I shall draft Keegan to start things off.
Okay.
And I'll take Homa with him. Keegan and Homa will be my start.
All right. I'm going to take... Who do I want here? Let me take Hideki.
Okay.
And I'm going to take Sam Ryder.
Stealing my guys.
Stealing your guys and leaving some extra room in there, yeah.
So what can I do here? If I bring it up on the screen, we got, if I throw in Vegas, I get to $8,100. So do I go double? If I go double low, and like I take those two, what does that leave me with? If I take Vegas and Stevens, it leaves me with 86. It's probably, yeah, I'll take Vegas and Stevens.
All right, Vegas.
Not the lineup that I thought I was going to play. I guess going with Homa instead of Minwoo kind of shook it up for me a little bit.
All right.
So Keegan, Homa, Vegas, Sam Stevens is what I have right now.
Trying to see if I got anything else in the tank here. I'm going to go Finau and Rose.
Finau and Rose. That brings you to 5 guys?
Burgers and fries.
How much do you have left?
Can't tell you.
You can tell me.
Okay, 8,000.
You have 8,000, so you're going to be in the same range probably where I'm at if I take Minwoo. So if I take Minwoo, I have $8,200 left, which gives me one of those guys. Is there anyone I can get back up to here? It's funny because I'm creating a lineup that I didn't even come close to creating when we were just going
Yeah,
through
it's just the
this.
way it goes in these drafts.
Yes, it's because you took the Gala from me.
That's right.
Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Ludwig and Bhatia. We'll go with Bhatia. Can't screw me 2 weeks in a row, can he?
Or you could.
So my team is going to be a $10,100 guy with Max Homa, Ludwig Aubert at $9,700, Keegan at $89,000, and then I have Bhatia at $75,000, Stevens at $7,000, and Vegas at $6,700.
Damn, your
I
team's-
don't love this lineup.
Your team is good. I'm going to go with this team. I've got Tony Finau, and then I got 4 8K guys. Thigala, Matsuyama, Justin Rose. I have Sam Ryder, and my last pick to round it out, the other 8K guy, Willie Z.
Okay, I like
I like this balanced build. Thigala, Matsuyama, Finau, Rose, Zal, and then just got to get Sam Ryder coming through, right?
Yeah, I mean, I like Sam. I bet Sam Ryder, so
Yeah, they're your guys. I got them.
yeah, you
Just like last week, I got your Ben Griffin and Pavon and got the job done there.
Pavon could have went really low on Sunday and just kind of he hit this like weird middle stretch where he couldn't make anything. Same as Burns. Like Burns could have made 4 birdies on the first 5 holes and just missed every
Really
time.
hurt my feelings, yes.
Is he on the list?
No, I don't make any lists. I just play them again.
Let's see. So I mentioned the top 5 in terms of the model ranking this week. The best like players, let's say Pendrith is the best like cheaper player at 7,400 over the past 24 rounds with what I have it listed out as. Svensson would be number 2. Woodland and Vegas are actually 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But I mean, with Woodland, who knows? He didn't look good at Sony.
Woodland is a guy that's on my list for playing. I don't have those lists. I said what you were talking about. Is he on the list of never play? No, but Woodland was on my dig deeper list for today to try and see what I was going to do with him because he's another guy. Didn't talk about him at all. Showed something at least. Like
He showed something as in he played golf.
Correct. And like went out there, so you see it. And then the other thing is, the setup of the course and all that. If you want to play a guy like him, there's no one going to that range.
Michael Kim rates out really well. He's number 15 in the power rankings. Smalley is 17. Cam Champ is 18, who's made the cut here each of the past 3 years. He's 6,800. Spawn, Davis Thompson, 73 and 72. Joel Damon at 76. Chuck Hoffman somehow. Oh, you know who is a $6,000 guy that I am going to play? Toasty.
Okay.
Good course for him.
People played him last week too, so he could bounce back.
10th in driving distance in this field. Good enough for me.
Who did I miss on your lineup, by the way? I was just going to compare projections just to see what it said. But you had Ludwig, Homa.
Homa, Ludwig, Keegan,
Yeah.
Akshay, Stevens, and Vegas.
Oh, there's what it was. Okay, so that's where I missed. So Keegan and Akshay, Keegan, and Vegas.
Yeah. Akshay, Stevens.
Stevens is the guy I'm missing. You
Stevens
mentioned-
at 7,000.
Yeah, your lineup's 20 points better.
Huh.
blowout.
Cruising.
Gonna be a
I'm
blowout.
fucking cruising USA over here.
Damn, we're in trouble now. But you got these top tier dudes. That's why I got the more balanced build. So we'll see how it shakes out as Vegas and Bhatia and Stevens are coming down the stretch.
I can see why people like, I just sorted by driving distance. So Toasty's 10, Panda is 11th, Chan Kim, Long Dong, Paul Barjan, and Jake Knapp before you get to Nikolai Højgaard.
Okay.
They're all inside the top 15 in driving distance this week. Patrick Rogers is number 7, by the way. I am going to play some Patrick Rogers. I'll play some Vegas. Callum Tarrant was the other one. And you know who we didn't talk about, 7,200, that literally no one has any interest in playing, but is 4th in this field in driving distance? And
Justin Suh?
it's not Justin Suh. It's Kevin Yu.
I'll play Justin Suh over you. You is literally, like, the thing about you and Mitchell, I brought this up. I think it's a good, interesting point for future stuff. Last week, those guys have nothing to lose. Keith Mitchell and you, they just fire at pins and see what happens. And what happened was they went super low on Sunday, and now everyone carries over. And we always say, like, that good, hot Sunday round. But I think we have to take more to it and say, like, what was the reason for it? They could get away with whatever they wanted. It was like, make 20 grand, make 30 grand, or try for a lot of money and just fire at it.
Sure. Although I would say that skill set wise, this course and this tournament sets up much better for Kevin Yu than the American Express did.
That's interesting. I think he sets up better just for birdie fests.
Maybe.
Because that's what he does. We've seen multiple times where he just gets that hot. I think he actually sets up better for showdown golf on DraftKings.
That could
That's
be it.
Probably what he actually sets up for. But who did you like up top again?
Like at the very top,
Yeah.
Homa and Morikawa,
Oh, damn. How much is Toasty?
66, I think.
Oh, he's expensive. I was trying to round out the show with the Barjan, Panda, Nap lineup, and you can get 3 guys up top. You just got to leave the money on the table and it projects horribly. But you've got Xander.
You can use, well, instead of using, you can use Toast. Let's use Barjan.
Oh, it uses all the money. Xander, Cantlay, Homa with Nap, Barjan, and Panda. There you go.
I can go Toasty, Tarrant. Oh, no, that's 5,800.
Toasty Tarrant.
Toasty Tarrant and Long Dong Paul Barjan.
Then you can do whatever you want. I just thought it was funny to get those three 10K guys in. Cantlay, X, Homa. Leave Cow out of it.
All right, see, you can do it this way. I'll play my version of this.
What do you got?
Xander, Kawa, Homa with Toasty, Tarrant, and Long Dong Paul Barjan.
Toasty Tarrant, man. This is going to be good. If one of these lineups crushes, I'll just laugh. But Long Dong, man.
Well, hopefully it wins me the $6, which I just entered it into.
Oh, you know what, too? Barjan can be get that dough. Kevin Doherty.
I could not pick that guy out of a lineup of 1.
You got to just trust the process, man.
Trust the numbers on it.
Yep.
Taylor Moore, 19th in driving distance, by the way. Better than Keith Mitchell.
Yeah, we'll take it. I like it. I like that. I don't know if I would go back to chasing the Keegan Mitchell big round, but he could burn me too. He's obviously good enough, and we've seen it in the past. So just a note.
Matty Schmidt hurt my feelings last week, too.
And you almost wanted me to pick him, and that I would have lost you. I only won by 8, but I took Pavone or
Instead of
Griffin,
Schmidt, instead of
and you were like,
Schmidt.
"Oh, you should have taken Schmidt in case." And I was like,
He had it rolling, too.
Yeah.
Because I looked at it on his Friday round when he played, I think it was La Quinta, because he played the stadium course first, struggled a little bit. He was like 4 under or something like that.
Yeah.
Then he got himself into it with these hot rounds. The 4 easiest par 5s were at the course he was playing. He played them in 2 over. 0 birdies and a double bogey on the par 5s. And he cleaned up the par 3s and par 4s. And this is a guy who bombed. It was blowing my mind.
That's the Stallings effect. Crushed it on the stadium course on day 1, and same with Cole. Crushed the stadium course on day 1 or whatever, day 2, or whatever he played it, and then couldn't do it when it needed to be done. And Stallings on the easy course, one of the, like Nicholas, I think it was, where he just had his worst round and missed the cut. So happens. Golf. We love it. We move on.
Yeah, we're on to this week, and we'll be on with you for the next 4 weeks. And then you're off that week, and I'm doing a show for the Mexico Open, I think it is. Or maybe I'll just take that week.
So we got Pebble Beach next week.
Then Phoenix.
Then Phoenix.
Oh, no, it'll be Riv, the one that I do early. So I will be doing that one.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I will not be here for the Mexico Open, unfortunately. Play Finau, the one player who's playing in the field.
That goes there just to collect his win.
Yeah, I bet him at
Top 3, whatever.
I gave it out on the Century Show. He was 18-1.
I got it with you.
To win Mexico. He's going to open it. Like, I went and looked at who's actually in this tournament. He is the only one in the tournament. Akshay might play. And he'll be like 10-1.
I don't look at those enough, but that was a good one to find.
Yeah, Feinberg told me that Homa they had listed at 25-1 to win this tournament. And which is much better than the 10-1 he is right now. I mean, that's what I bet him at last year when he won.
Yeah, the thing about that, though, is like, well, the CLV that we all get so excited for of like the closing line value there, you're like, that's great, but it's also this field is stacked. For the top level.
But
I'm talking about Finau in Mexico is totally different.
If they listed Homa at 20-1 this week, I would bet Max Homa.
Sure, I'm saying that you're happy about getting that number. I'm not doubting that. That's the obvious one. He came out at 10 to 1. You could have got 25. Obvious. I'm saying at least in this one, you could see other guys crush him.
Oh, yeah.
Finau at 18 to 1 at Mexico is like, who else is there? He's what is he? Won it second or something like that. It's just he goes there because it's just a way to get a notch on the belt and get your points and move on.
You pile up
cash your money and whatever it is.
Pile up those FedEx Cup points.
Yeah.
Easy way to do it. Will Gordon, I'm going to give a look to again at $6,900. Another guy who just kind of bombs it.
Yep.
That's where I want to. That's where I want to be this week. The headspace I want to live in. That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Playing the Listeners League. Smash like and sub to the channel. ShipItNation.com. Code Mayo will get you 10% off, and the prices go up after.
Lock tomorrow.
So-
we gave it longer. Like we were supposed to be for 2 weeks only. We did it for 3. It's been great. The first 3 weeks are incredible. You can go on X, check it out at ShipItNation. See the thread of everybody, all the members that are having success. But Code Mayo will continue to work and get you 10% off whatever you want over there. But those prices will go up this week, tomorrow around 12 p.m. Eastern.
I wish S.H. Kim was playing better golf right now.
Could just show up here and scramble his ass off. It's fine.
Well, he also bombs it as well. I think people overlook that with him. But he played the American Express and missed the cut last week. But he was second at the Fortinet Napa course, where Homa won. Thigala won that. So California course, how did he do last year? 33rd at the Genesis, 20th at this event, missed the cut at the American Express, 21st at Pebble Beach. Maybe he's a California guy.
Yeah.
$7,000. It's just looking for ways to get different in that range is what I'm.
That's what I was saying. There's 43 guys, by the way, in the 7K range this week. The biggest I've seen in a long time. So you can definitely just get different within the current build setups that we were on and just play different 7K guys.
Cool. At Toe, Tag, and Tambar. The tidbits out?
Oh, good point. Yeah, I was going to bring that up on the show because more people watch this one. No tidbits on the short weeks. A lot of the articles for people that just come out today.
Hey, I've already got like 3 columns out.
Yeah, the newsletter alone is a long read, but a great one. So it's like you get everything you want right in that.
You wanted your 5,000 words? You got it in the newsletter. You can sub to free, get it sent directly to you.
Yeah, it's
good. You can do it in chunks. Like if you got to take like 2 shits during a day, you've been eating a lot of fiber, you can knock it out in 2 seconds.
Oh yeah, I do the old mark as unread and leave it for later, so I've got it remembered. I read what I can, go back to it. Definitely a way to do it.
And I've tried to segment it that you can read it. Like if there's something in particular, like if you want to know about the field, you can know about the field. If you want to know about the past winners, you can know about the past winners.
Especially if you click like on a Tuesday or in a regular week on the Wednesday, like, oh, I want to go back to that thing now. I wonder if I can find it. It's segmented in the newsletter that you can just go back and find it easily.
Yeah, so share around the newsletter. It really helped me out. All right, Listeners League is probably full by the time that you're watching or listening to this. But yeah, get in on it early. The newsletter can help you out in that front. I post it there the second I get it. And then you might actually have to wait for a show to join the Listeners League on that one. But thank you all for watching. Good luck at the Farmers Insurance Open. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!